three things to do tonight, and very quickly at that. The first is to find one word to describe Jerry Walsh. The second is to tell you just a very quick story about why I think we need change in our city. And I said the C word, city. And the third is to introduce Jerry. So, let me find that one word that describes Jerry Walsh. And I talked to a lot of people, so I've got a list here. So what would describe Jerry Walsh? Well, he's good looking.
That's 2 words, that's 2 words, sorry.
Good. Wait a minute, that's Monica's list. Sorry, wait a minute. Sorry, Monica. You're supposed to give me words.
That's important.
Focused.
That was from Ron.
Determined. Driven. Kind. Compassionate. Good-natured. Competitive. Intelligent. A leader. But I think there's one better word that describes Jerry Walsh, and that's a word that's not often heard in polite political company: authentic. I believe Jerry Walsh is authentic. And I believe we authentic. And I think we need authentic change at City Hall.
Yay.
So the second thing, quick story. In my former role as the CEO of the Greater Halifax Partnership, I had all kinds of opportunity to go in front of council. What a pleasure. Believe me, it was. And I can tell you that I had to go on one occasion, and it was a major economic initiative that had great benefit for our city. But it wasn't on the agenda, so we had to get the agenda amended. So one of the councillors made a motion, let's amend the agenda. Mr. Dempsey's got a 20-minute presentation, hear that, and let's get on with it. Decision couldn't be made. Went around the council table for 23 voices on whether or not the agenda should be changed. Back for supplementals, another 23 times. 46 opinions on whether or not to change the agenda. I looked at my watch for a 20-minute presentation. It was 23 minutes for that discussion. Defeated.
Oh,
I went home.
Yeah.
That was it. We need change at the council table, and we need Jerry Walsh to bring that change to us. I describe it as Halifax emerging from our lost decade, 10 years plus of indecision, ineptitude, and inaction, and we need to change that. Finally, Jerry Walsh. How do I know this guy?
Don't tell that story.
Don't tell that story. Jerry and I go back to our university days. The best jobs in the city, cutting grass for the school board.
Yeah.
We really worked on our cans for days like this, the high water marks.
Yeah.
But we had a great job, and I can
Yeah.
tell you one thing, Jerry Walsh did it a little differently than everybody else. His grass pile was just a little higher, the grass he cut was just a little shorter, and he finished all of his jobs just a little faster. And let me tell you, that's not always a good idea in a union environment. But that was Jerry,
That's right.
Authentic. And that's what he brought to the job then. I know that's what he'll bring to our council chambers. Jerry Walsh.
Oh, thanks, Stephen. Okay. That was very nice. Well, thank you, Stephen, for those kind words and for the introduction. And not all of what he said is true, but anyway, well, most of it's fine. But just also want to offer a couple of special thanks before I begin to Wayne Coyle and the staff here at Bishop's Cellar. Who've where's Wayne? Wayne's still here. There he is, the guy with the hair, sort of like me, but much longer, back there. You have more gel. That's right. Yeah, Bishop's Cellar has graciously agreed to host this event tonight and to provide the wines to us for our wine tasting, several samples of local wines, and also Chef Craig Flynn from Chives, who's a friend of mine, runner, Blue Nose Marathon participant, author, award-winning chef. Craig was here earlier, but he's become sick today, so his sous chef is back here from Chives. So thank you very much to Chives for the food. And also want to thank my partner Monica McDonald, who's responsible for all of the organization here tonight and all the logistics and all the reminders that you all got about being here. Two of my three kids are here tonight, Rebecca and William. Rebecca's back there and Will. They're both in their 20s launching their careers. Rebecca with Scotiabank and Will with Radian 6, and happy that they're here in Halifax. And my oldest daughter Martha was not able to be here. She's a school teacher in Halifax, but wanted to, happy to have Grace here tonight too, Kristen. So I wanted to thank everybody for being here as we begin the quest tonight to become councillor in District 7. And let me take a few moments just to explain to you why I'm running. There actually are three reasons. First, as Stephen said, there is a real need for change around the council table in Halifax. And over the last decade, I mean, we've all seen and watched in the papers and on TV the actions and decisions of this council during the Peter Kelly era that have caused this city really to slide into a gradual state of mediocrity. And nowhere is this felt and seen more so, in my view, than in Peninsula Halifax and in downtown Halifax, where we've seen out-migration of people and businesses to the suburbs. We've seen a decaying downtown core, rising crime, inadequate transit, escalating property taxes, and diminishing services. And what we've seen, what we've witnessed, in my view, is a monumental failure in leadership on the part of council, and it simply must change. And second, I'm running because I believe that I can make a difference. I have to say that I don't question the effort of our current councillors. I do believe, for the most part, that they are sincere and they're representing their constituents' interests to the best of their abilities. But I do question their competence, and I do question their ability to make sound decisions that are in the best interest of all people. Most of you are familiar with my business background. Fortunately, I know most of you in the room. That's why some of those nice words, that's why I got the hecklers in the back there, especially Ron Pink. That's right, who argues with everybody, even his friends. But most of you are familiar with my business background. I've operated a business for 22 years. But one of the places where I really get my inspiration is through Blue Nose Marathon, an event I co-founded with Rod McCullough, who's also here tonight. Where's Rod? Right there, a number of years ago. You know, I've long said the Blue Nose to me is a good example of starting something from scratch. When we began talking, when Rod got our group together back in 2002, I think, in that range, Rod, we really had nothing. We had no runners, we had no sponsors, we had no money, no volunteers, and no support. All we had was an idea and a question that Rod was throwing around, which was, why can't we have a marathon in Halifax? And from that simple question way back when, about 10 years ago, Blue Nose has grown to what it is today, which is the single largest participant event in Atlantic Canada, with over 12,000 runners participating, and one that raises almost $500,000 for charity every year. And you know, I'd like to take full credit for that. In fact, I would if Rod wasn't here, but I can't get away with that. But to me, Blue Nose is a great example of what we can do in this city, how we can actually build bridges, how we can bring people together and make a difference in people's lives without a lot of resources. And some of those qualities that I will bring to council on your behalf. And the third reason that I have for running, and perhaps the most important reason, and we speak, you know, critically of the current council, but despite all that's gone on over the past decade, I still have great confidence in the future of Halifax. And with the federal shipbuilding contract that we've just been awarded, I think that we are now poised possibly for the best opportunity in a generation to transform this city. So this contract, $25 billion contract, offers really a vast potential for this community to build a solid foundation of skills, knowledge, and opportunity for all people, young and old, that could serve us well for very many decades. But I'm sorry, I don't think that we can leave it to the old guard at City Hall to manage that properly. So in the campaign, which we're launching, there are ways that we'll focus on. And I just want to quickly review those with you so you'll understand them. First, I think we have to get a whole lot wiser about how we spend taxpayers' money in Halifax. You may not know, but the overall budget of HRM is almost $1 billion per year, $1 billion. And this council makes most of its budget decisions in private, surprise, surprise, without any citizen input. But worse, some of the examples of where they've mismanaged your money, I think, really stand out. For example, this past winter, HRM exceeded its snow removal budget by $2.4 million. Now tell me, how much did it snow this winter? Right, not a whole lot. Joan, you were down south, so you don't actually know. No, but that's she looked surprised there, but it wasn't snowing in Palm Springs, no. But still, the $400,000 spent on consultants for the stadium plan, when very clearly the federal government and the provincial government told us they had no interest in participating, yet we still approved that money to be spent. due to the weakness of management oversight, this is an interesting one, HRM actually went $35 million over its overtime budget last year for all services because weak management controls built into the system. Then there's the Wash Mill underpass, which is actually a third access to Bayers Lake to get people into Bayers Lake so you can shop at box stores instead of local businesses. That's a whole separate issue. But that project was a $9 million project that went $6 million over budget. It was the biggest boondoggle in HRM history, according to Gloria McCluskey. So, you know, the list goes on and on. There's the $60,000 spent on 125 cell phones that were never used for 1 minute. So, $16.7 million spent on outside consultants that the Auditor General said most of that work could have been done in-house by staff. So you just get, you know, more angry as you read these things. But it goes on and on. And it's interesting to note that Councillor Sue Utek, who will be running against, serves and has served for several years on the Finance and Audit Committee. And so I'm not a slash and burn sort of person. It's not my thinking that we cut costs at all measures. But I have to tell you that this irresponsible stewardship of your money is why the residents of District 7 and the rest of HRM pay higher taxes than most municipalities do. And it also means that important tax dollars are not being invested in key projects that will build this city, like the revitalization of Barrington Street or better public transit. So we need councillors with good business sense. You know, as a professional accountant by training myself, I know the right questions to ask as we, in fact, as I watch Eastlink on Monday or Tuesday nights, and Monica can attest to this, I'm hollering at the TV, why don't you ask these questions? But it's the only time I holler at a TV set. But I can guarantee you that I will be attentive to getting good value for money. It's really important to me, something this council has not demonstrated. My second priority revolves around public transportation and the need to build confidence in our public transit. Yeah, all residents, young and old and in between, want a transit system that's easy to understand, is convenient to use, and efficient. But Metro Transit, as the recent strike demonstrated, really appears to be moving in the opposite direction. So instead of putting more bus capacity in the heavily populated urban areas, you know, they're more interested in expanding services in the sparsely populated rural areas of this municipality, which doesn't make sense to me. It simply drives up the overall cost. You may not know that 10 years ago, the cost to run Metro Transit was $27 million. Today, it's $80 million. And the kicker is there's been no increase in ridership over that period of time. But costs have gone from 27 to 80. So what I'd like to see is increased frequency of buses within the urban core, so people can get around, and in the more heavily used traffic corridors. I'd also like to think that we could consider more direct routes with no stops and special bus lanes with no cars to lower the commute times for transit users. It's done in other cities. There's no reason why it cannot be done here. But right now, we actually have the lowest level of transit users per capita in Canada of any major municipality. And, but it's only when transit becomes a better option than using a car will ridership increase. And related to getting around, I'm also a big proponent of dedicated bike lanes in the city. It's done in Vancouver. Ron, you've seen that in Vancouver, bike lanes in the middle of the city. It's done in Montreal. If it can be done in those centers, it can certainly be done in Halifax. But I really think we need much more progressive thinking about mobility in and around Halifax with this next council. The third priority, there are only four, don't worry. The third priority that I will focus on is respectful development of our downtown. I am a strong proponent of HRM by design. Like, to me, it's a sensible, it's a balanced, responsible blueprint for future development in Halifax. It was 5 years in the making, involved hundreds of citizens. Perhaps some of you were involved in that process. Steve, you would have been, of course. And it's a good document, and I fully believe that if we follow the guidelines in HRM by design, that we'll have a sustainable, healthy, vibrant downtown core. But not surprisingly, this current council, who approved this plan just 2 years ago, now wants to go against their own guidelines. If you recall the recent Sky Halifax proposal, the twin 48-story towers that is being proposed, which is an example of, in my opinion, of what should not be built in Halifax, this council, against the wishes of its staff, have authorized that development to go to the next phase in the planning process and the development process. Now, I'm hopeful that'll stop. That won't happen. But it's another example of this cavalier attitude of the current council. Related to development as well, I think we need to ask some other questions. So why do buildings have to be demolished when they're approved for development? If you just look at the former Herald building, basically it's a hole in the ground on Argyle Street that's been there for, what's that, 3, 4, or 5 years now. It's where the new trade center is supposed to go. It's a very unattractive site right in the heart of our city. Could not have been used by community groups in the meantime of some sort, as it is done in other cities. And even if they are demolished, could the property not be beautified in some way? Could we not require that as a city? We used the QH High School as an example that was torn down a year ago. A little bit of sod, a little bit of grass. It looks fine while they're deciding on its future use. So I really think it's time that we start working together to rebuild our historic downtown. And finally, I really think that we have to take big steps to ensure our city is safe, and it's clean, and it's welcoming to residents and to visitors. People want to feel safe on the streets, safe in the communities, safe in their homes. And I'm a big supporter of the police department, and I know that overall crime rates are on the decline. But I have to tell you that a record high 19 homicides in Halifax last year, and even just last week, the recent shootings on Thursday afternoon on Quimper Road, have left people feeling very anxious. The public wants greater police presence, but more than just boots on the street, they also want community policing to try to root out the sources of crime. So, with all that in mind, what does this council do in this year's budget? They voted to reduce police services. You should know that. Unanimously. So, and also, I'm really troubled about the level of general state of the downtown core. In fact, Ron and I comment on it every morning when we run. It's dirty and it's unkept. And if you take a short walk through the downtown core from here on Barrington Street or Spring Garden Road or Argyle Street, you'll see an abundance of cigarette butts, broken bottles, litter, just on every street. It's unfortunately very embarrassing, I think, to our city. And so one of the thoughts that I had as councillor that I'd like to try to push is for the establishment of some sort of a downtown district, probably bordered by Brunswick on the west, Duke on the north, Spring Garden on the south, and perhaps the Harbour on the east. A downtown district that has a strict set of bylaws that are enforced, that deal with issues like graffiti, litter, panhandling, and cleanliness, and perhaps suggest the idea of dedicated smoking zones like they have at the airport, and increased police presence so that residents will feel safe and welcome in the downtown core. All you have to do is look at Times Square in New York. Not that long ago, was it 15 years ago, 20, it was very dangerous in Times Square. If you walk down there now, 24 hours a day, you feel completely safe. There's police presence, there's no graffiti, there's no panhandling, there are no broken windows in one of the largest cities in the world. So downtown Halifax is the showroom of Halifax, and it's where almost 1 million people from outside Halifax come in to visit downtown every year. And I think it's time that we began working together better to restore our city's reputation as a safe, hospitable, and attractive gateway to the Atlantic region. So those are the 4 priorities that will be focused on in the campaign: spending taxpayers' money wisely, building confidence in Metro Transit, encouraging respectful development of the downtown, and ensuring our city is safe, clean, and welcoming for residents and for visitors. So in closing, I do want to thank my campaign team, most of whom are here tonight. I just want to quickly run through them so you know who they are. Steve Hiscock is our campaign manager right there. Ian McLeod and Tony Blom have done the brochure you got, our marketing communications. It's their creation. They've done a great job, and that brochure was just picked up at the printer this afternoon. We made it just in the... Tony guaranteed me it'd be done. He said, "Don't panic, Jerry, don't worry." Our social media is being managed by Jeffrey Milder, Kelly Bennett, and Stephanie Reed, all of whom are here as well, and very strong in that area. Paul Bennett's doing our policy and strategy. Al Ferguson and, where's Alan? Right there, and Darren Check are doing the signs. That's actually the hardest job. I didn't tell them how hard it was before they said yes, so in a weak moment we got them, so it's too late now. Phil Switty, Phil right here, has done our website. That's gone live this afternoon, GWalsh.ca. It's a beautiful site. Thank you very much, Phil, for that. It looks great. And take a look at that. Mike Stack, this man around here causing us a nuisance, doing our photography. Stephen Dempsey, as you know, doing fundraising. Mike Mercer and Matt Anderson. There's an electronic voting period from October 6th through the 18th, which changes the flavor of how we vote in Halifax. So those two guys, young Cracker Jacks there, I met them through St. Mary's University Student Association. who are president and vice president respectively, are going to oversee that. Michelle Daigneault is going to oversee our scheduling, and Jim Horwitz is our official agent, and Annette Morash in our office doing administration and database. They can't be here tonight. So to everyone on the campaign team and to all of you here who have pledged your support for the cause, either by way of time, skills, or money, I do want you to know that I really appreciate everything that you're doing, and I want you to know in return that I'm committed to winning. All right, this is not a practice run, it's the real thing. And I pledge to you that I'll work hard during the campaign. It will not be an easy battle, as we have strong competitors, including one incumbent who's finishing her 3rd term. But I have great capacity to work, and I look forward to canvassing with you, attending as many community functions as we can, debating my opponents, and meeting as many voters as possible. And as they say, it'll be good old-fashioned hard work that'll win the day, and that's just what I intend to do. So thank you for coming tonight, and best wishes.